I gave you everything. I roared, my fists clenched, voice echoing through the crowded restaurant. Chairs scraped back. Heads turned. But I didn't care. You gave me leftovers, she snapped, standing up so fast her wine glass toppled. You gave me excuses. And now? I want what I deserve. A hush fell over the table. My best friend, now her new fiancé, smirked as he leaned back like this was a show made for him. I turned to him. You were my brother. You slept in my house. Ate at my table. And this is how you repay me? My name is Ayan. And 5 minutes ago, I thought I was just having dinner with my ex-wife and my oldest friend to sign some final business papers. But now, I stood under the blinding lights of betrayal, choking on the taste of rage. The woman I once loved had not only stolen my heart, she'd handed it, still bleeding, to the man I trusted most. But this wasn't just about heartbreak. It was about power. And for the first time in years, I realized I wasn't the broken one anymore. No. I was the only one still standing. And they were about to learn what standing alone can turn you into. You don't own me, Ayan, she hissed, stepping toward me. Her heels clicked like daggers on the polished floor. You never did. You're right, I said coldly, jaw tightening. Because if I did, you wouldn't be standing next to him. Kareem laughed, that hollow, arrogant laugh I used to mistake for confidence. Come on, man. Let's not do this in front of everyone. Be smart. Walk away. I stepped forward until we were nose to nose. I was smart the day I stopped trusting you. And I'm not walking away from anything. Not this time. He shoved me first, quick, almost casual, like he didn't think I'd hit back. But my fist connected before I even knew what I was doing. A solid crack to his jaw sent him stumbling over a chair. Gasps rippled across the room, but no one moved. No one interfered. You want to talk about smart? I growled, towering over him. Smart is what I was when I kept my mouth shut for 5 years. While you whispered in her ear. While you smiled in my face. While you helped her drain our accounts and walk away with everything I built. You didn't build anything without me. Kareem spat, wiping blood from his lip. It was my pitch that landed us our first investor. My code got us that deal, I shot back. You just knew how to dress the part. I felt her hand grab my arm, nails digging in. This isn't the place, she said through gritted teeth. Oh, but cheating on your husband with his best friend in his office was? I snapped. Her hand fell away like I'd burned her. You're still bitter because you never made time for me, she said, her voice trembling now, even through the anger. You were always at work. I needed more than that. And instead of talking to me, you made me your villain, I said, my voice lowering, colder. You both did. But tell me something, Lena. If I was really that terrible, why are you so scared of what I know? She froze. Kareem pushed himself up from the floor, but the look in his eyes wasn't one of a man who'd won. It was of someone who just realized the war wasn't over, it had just begun. I signed those transfer papers, I said, adjusting my shirt like nothing had happened. But I didn't sign them, stupid. You might have gotten shares. But I kept the board votes. And guess what? Starting tomorrow, you answer to me. Both of you. Her eyes widened. Kareem took a step back. You're lying. Am I? I pulled my phone from my pocket and hit play on the recording. And as per Clause 14, majority voting rights shall remain with Ayan Malik for the duration of any shareholder restructure or dispute. The lawyer's voice cut through the room like a blade. The silence that followed was more violent than the punch. This was never about love, was it? I asked, not expecting an answer. You thought I was weak. You thought I'd disappear. That I'd drown in silence like you left me to. But I didn't disappear, Lena. I prepared. And now I'm done waiting for karma. I am. Karma. The room burst into noise again, waiters rushing in, security trailing behind, someone filming from the corner. But I was already walking out, shoulders straight, rage cooled into something sharper: control. I learned something that night, not just about betrayal, but about worth. People will take everything from you and then call you the villain for surviving. But you don't have to shout to win. You don't have to break to prove you were whole. All you have to do is keep building. Keep standing. Keep the receipts. They thought I was broken because I walked away in silence. What they didn't see was that silence can be the loudest threat of all. The funny thing about betrayal is, it doesn't just happen once. It unravels. Layer by layer. Like a wound that never scabs because the knife's still in you. That night after the restaurant, I didn't sleep. I stared at the ceiling of the same apartment I built from scratch, the same walls that heard her laughter, saw our plans taped to the fridge, carried the echoes of a life we pretended was solid. But it wasn't. It was paper. And I was too busy proving myself to notice the match she was holding behind her back. I kept asking myself, when did it start? Was it the business trips I took to secure our funding? Was it when I missed her birthday to launch our beta? Or had it always been there, a game between them, a secret joke I was too focused to hear? I wasn't perfect. God knows I wasn't. But I was loyal. I was real. And that's what hurt the most, not that she left, but that she lied while staying. The next morning, the board meeting began at 9 a.m. sharp. I walked in wearing the same clothes from the night before, no sleep, no smile, just a folder full of every document they'd underestimated. Kareem and Lena were already seated, both dressed like nothing happened. He looked smug. She looked ready to fake grace. But me? I looked like a man who had nothing left to lose, and they saw it in my eyes. Before we begin, Kareem said, tapping his pen, I think it's fair to inform everyone that Lena and I have formed a new development wing within the company. We'll be spearheading direction moving forward. I smiled. Not the kind of smile that reaches your eyes, the kind you give when you know someone just stepped on their own landmine. Oh? I said, calm. And under what authority? He leaned back, lacing his fingers. Well, considering our combined shares now equal 52%. I cut him off. Let me stop you right there. I pulled out a single piece of paper and slid it across the table. Clause 17. Temporary majority holds no executive decision-making power unless approved by the founder. That's me. His face twitched. He didn't expect I'd read the fine print. Or that I'd written it. I founded this company, I continued. I named it. I built every line of code it runs on. You think taking my wife gives you my legacy? It doesn't. It makes you a footnote in the chapter I'm about to write. Lena tried to speak, but I raised a hand. No, I said. You've spoken enough. In courtrooms. In my office. In our home. This time, you listen. I turned to the board. This company started with nothing but a dream and a borrowed laptop. We slept in the office. Ate noodles for weeks. I sacrificed everything to make it real. And while I was working, they were plotting. Smiling in your faces. Whispering behind my back. You think this is a partnership? It's a hostile takeover in a prettier dress. One of the older board members looked between us and frowned. Are you alleging fraud? Not yet, I said. But I have the emails. The timestamps. The bank transfers. If I push this, it's not just a firing. It's jail time. That shut them up. Kareem's smugness started to crack. His fingers tapped faster now. Lena, still trying to maintain control, leaned forward. You're hurt, Ayan. We get it. But don't throw everything away over feelings. I met her eyes, steady. This was everything. And I didn't throw it away. You two did. And then, I stood. And I handed them the pen. You can take the title. You can take the office. Hell, take the money too. But you'll never take my value. Because this place? It ran on me. And without me, you're just expensive furniture sitting in an empty room. And I walked out. They thought that was the end. What they didn't know was that I'd already started something new. People always think power comes from titles and bank balances. But real power? It comes from peace. From clarity. From waking up one day and saying, "You don't get to hurt me anymore." I could have stayed. Fought them until the building crumbled. But I didn't want ashes. I wanted growth. I wanted rebirth. So I left not because I lost, but because I was done playing their game. You don't know who you are until you lose everything. And I mean everything. My marriage. My company. My so-called best friend. I walked out of that building with nothing but a flash drive in my pocket and a broken heart beating in my chest. But you know what? That flash drive, it had something more powerful than a contract. It had the first blueprint of something new. Something clean. Something they couldn't touch. The first few days were hell. You try telling the world that the company you built kicked you out and see how fast the calls stop. The people who used to greet me with smiles suddenly had meetings. The investors who once begged for a seat at my table didn't even answer their phones. I went from being a name to being a lesson. Don't trust too much, they said. Don't love too deeply. Don't get soft at the top. And for a minute, I believed them. But then I remembered I was the product. I was the soul. That company didn't run without me, it drained me. And now, without them, I finally had room to breathe again. So I opened my laptop. Started from line 1. Code. Design. Strategy. Everything I'd ever done for them, but this time, for me. No suits. No boardroom games. Just a vision, a hunger, and the freedom to rebuild on my own terms. I slept on a friend's couch for 2 weeks. Ate whatever I could afford. Wore the same hoodie for a week straight. But every night, I worked. Every hour that passed, I wrote more code, refined the idea, sent quiet feelers to the people who still believed in me. And guess what? A few of them did. A junior developer I once mentored sent me 10 grand, no questions asked. A burned out investor, sick of the politics, said he'd back me just to see you take the throne again. They didn't want hype. They wanted heart. And I had nothing but that. I called it ember. Because that's what I was, not ashes, not smoke, but a burning coal that refused to die. A spark waiting to ignite something massive. While Kareem paraded around in my old office, throwing launch parties for a product I'd already perfected, I was quietly building a better version in a room with no air conditioning. And the irony? Every bug they couldn't fix, I had the patch. Every feature they bragged about, I'd already improved. They stole my house. But I was building a castle in the shadows. You learn a lot when you're down. Who your friends are. What you're made of. What failure really feels like. But you also learn that revenge doesn't have to be loud. It can be quiet. Strategic. Surgical. And when the time is right, it lands like thunder. Sometimes, it's not about proving them wrong. It's about proving yourself right. They laughed when I left. Smirked when I vanished. But now, they'd have to watch me rise. Not with noise. Not with drama. Just undeniable, unstoppable results. Funny how tables turn when you stay silent long enough. One morning, I woke up to 87 missed emails. 23 calls. All from people who used to look through me. Investors, tech blogs, even that smug analyst who once told me, "You're just a coder with a lucky smile." They were begging to talk. Why? Because Ember had gone viral. A single tweet from a user saying, "This app saved my business," turned into thousands. And before I could even catch my breath, we were trending in 5 countries. Meanwhile, Kareem's version of the software? Bugged. Broken. Bleeding clients. I didn't need revenge. The numbers were screaming it for me. I didn't reach out to them. They came to me. Crawling. My ex-CEO sent a warm email, "We'd love to discuss a possible collaboration." I laughed so hard I nearly dropped my phone. Lena texted me next. Just 3 words, "Can we talk?" As if the last 6 months had been a misunderstanding. As if she hadn't watched me get dragged out like trash. I didn't reply. Not yet. Because I wasn't finished. You see, revenge isn't a moment. It's a stage. And I was about to take the mic. I didn't want money. I didn't want apologies. I wanted something public. I wanted them to feel the silence I'd lived in. So when the board of directors, the same men and women who once voted me out, invited me to a panel event they were co-hosting, I said yes. They thought I was coming to discuss innovation in modern tech. But I had other plans. I stepped onto that stage not as the man they humiliated, but as the man they couldn't ignore anymore. And right across the room, sitting in the front row, were Kareem and Lena. I locked eyes with them before I said a word. Then I smiled. A year ago, I was escorted out of my own company for being too emotional, too idealistic. They told me the world doesn't run on passion. It runs on power. But here's the thing, real power doesn't scream. It builds in silence. It endures betrayal. It survives heartbreak. And then it rises. The room went still. Even the cameras. Even Kareem stopped smirking. I wasn't reading notes. I wasn't performing. I was remembering. Word for word, moment for moment, everything they took from me, I laid bare. Then I dropped the final blow. I clicked the clicker, and the presentation screen behind me lit up. Their company, the one they stole from me, was now using Ember's code. My code. I had proof. Time stamps. Logs. Files only I could have created. You could hear the gasps. A board member stood up, furious, shouting something about legal implications, but I didn't flinch. I just said, "You can't copyright betrayal. But you can expose it." And with that, I walked off stage. No need to stay. The war was already over. Kareem ran after me in the hallway. "You think this is over, huh?" he hissed. But I just looked at him, not with anger, but with pity. It's been over, Kareem. You just didn't hear the silence when it started. He wanted a war. I gave him irrelevance. And Lena? She didn't say a word. She just stood there. Eyes full of something that looked like regret. But it was too late for that. Regret doesn't rebuild what you helped destroy. Sometimes, the loudest revenge isn't a scream. It's success. Quiet. Undeniable. And permanent. Let them talk. Let them spin stories. You don't need to fight for the last word when your life becomes the proof. Some scars you don't see in the mirror. They live in your silence. Your hesitations. The way you second-guess every new smile that enters your life. That's what betrayal does. It doesn't just hurt. It rewires you. For a while, I didn't trust anyone. I didn't even trust myself. I kept thinking, how could I have been so blind? But then one night, while I was up fixing a minor bug in Ember at 2:17 a.m., I realized something. It wasn't weakness that got me hurt. It was loyalty. It wasn't foolishness. It was love. And that's nothing to be ashamed of. See, the world teaches us to be cold. To expect the knife. To never let our guard down. But I refuse to live like that. I'd rather be betrayed again than become like them. Because if I lose my ability to love, to believe in people, then they've won twice. No, I'd rather keep my heart open. Just wiser this time. Sharper. I know what red flags look like now. I know what silence really means in a room full of applause. And I've learned that the people worth keeping don't make you beg to be heard. Ember grew. Fast. Faster than I expected. Within a year, we weren't just surviving, we were leading. Small businesses. Creators. Students. They all used it. Not because we had a flashy campaign, but because we listened. We built with heart. And guess what? That matters. In a world of noise, people still recognize truth. And that became my compass. Every update we launched, every hire I made. I asked one question: are we building with ego or with purpose? One day, I got an email from a young coder in India. He said, "Your story made me pick up my laptop again." That hit me harder than any payout, any headline. Because that's what this journey was always about. Not just proving them wrong, but showing someone out there, someone like me, that falling isn't failure. That being underestimated is a gift. That silence can become the loudest thunder when you stop begging and start building. As for Lena, she reached out one last time. Said she left Kareem. Said she finally understood what she lost. I told her the truth: I'm not angry anymore. I don't need her back. Because some people are lessons. Some are blessings. And she was both. She taught me how far kindness can stretch before it snaps. And Kareem? I don't even think about him. I'm too busy living the life he tried to steal. That's the best revenge. Peace. And to anyone listening, maybe you've been betrayed. Maybe you've been humiliated, silenced, broken. But hear me now, you're not done. Your story isn't over. Your voice isn't gone. You're not weak because you loved, or trusted, or dreamed out loud. That's not weakness. That's strength. The kind the world can't fake. The kind that turns ashes into fuel. They thought they buried me. But I wasn't a corpse. I was a seed. And now, I bloom on ground they thought they owned. So next time they laugh at your dreams, don't fight. Don't beg. Build. Let your silence become the proof.